Good morning, and you know what day it is? Hump Day! Mike. Guess who's with me this morning? It's the world-famous Bolt. What's going on, buddy? Hi. Yep, still a little nervous. He's still a little, now he's going to snuggle up next to me. So, you know, seeing this guy every day makes me just think of one thing, and that is we are all a lot stronger than we think we are, and we are all a lot more capable of things than we think we are. I mean, this little guy, look how tiny he is, okay? That little guy survived on his own in the wild in northern Illinois for a month. When it was incredibly hot, there was very little water. Food, I mean, we still really don't know how he fed himself, and he didn't lose a pound, by the way. But the real thing is the coyotes and all the other animals around. This little guy avoided all of that stuff for 30 plus days. There he is, that little skittish little dude. And when we got him back, he was basically fine. I mean, he was beat up. I mean, he needed rest, which he got. I mean, he basically rested for a month in order to come back. His toenails, you know, were ripped off because he had run. He hadn't lost hardly any weight from when we first got him, which shows that he figured out how to find food, and he wasn't really that dehydrated. We didn't have to give him IVs or anything. He just, quite frankly, needed rest, and otherwise he was doing fine. You know, we say life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Well, the reason that we talk about that is because when you do things that you don't think that you can do, now you've expanded your area of influence. You've expanded the area, and I think it's time for Bolt to go in. You've expanded the area that you comfortably feel like you can handle. So what's interesting about this guy is, yes, he's very skittish now. I'm going to take off his collar quick because he's ready to go back into his area. Go ahead, Bolt. He's very skittish now with regards to certain things, for sure. But he's also very confident with regards to other things. So like one of the things that just is interesting is weather doesn't bother him. Storms don't bother him. So if it's storming, Marley isn't interested in going outside, but Bolt doesn't care. Doesn't bother him one bit. Why? Well, because he was out in storms for a month. So he's like, yeah, I've done this. This doesn't bother me. We all have areas that we feel confident in managing. We all have areas where we feel like we know that we can control certain situations. And then we have areas where we don't. You've heard me say life begins at the end of your comfort zone. The key to happiness is progress. The secret to living is giving, but the key to happiness is progress. Why? You know, you're either growing or you're dying. You've heard me say all of these phrases. Well, what is that about? That's because we're meant to expand. And when we do something that we are not sure if we can do, whether or not we're successful at it, we now feel more confident about it because we've done it. Even if you did it and you didn't get the desired result, you still did it. And as a result, now you're going to feel differently. You know, Thomas Edison, 10,000 experiments before he finally got the one that he invented the light bulb with. It took him 10,000 times. But each time, he didn't look at it as a failure. He looked at it as another opportunity for me to make a distinction and learn something. And as a result of that, we still say his name well over 100 years after he's died, which, let's face it, that's a pretty big deal. So what I learned from Bolt every time I see the guy is we can do a lot more than we think we can do. We are capable of a lot more than we think we can. That little guy got put in a situation where he had to learn how to survive, and he did. You know, I don't know if he would have survived through the winter, but I certainly wouldn't have bet against him after watching him for a month. We would see him periodically, and people would spot him all over the place. Everybody was looking for him, and he figured out where to go. He put himself in an area where there really wasn't as many coyotes as there was up here. Somehow he got 10 miles away in an area where there are fewer coyotes, and you can tell that because there was all kinds of pheasants, there was all kinds of rabbits. He found an area where he was getting food. He found an area where he could get water. I mean, it was astonishing that this guy was able to survive as much as he could. What is it that you've always wanted to do that you've really never been sure if you're capable of doing it? And the reality is we are all capable of accomplishing anything that we dream about. You know, to have a vision, the good book says people without a vision perish. Without a vision, people perish. And there's also an idea that if you're given a desire, the word desire, the Latin form means of the Father, which can be interpreted as to throw forth. Meaning, if you have a desire for something, then you have the corresponding tools and opportunities that are necessary in order to accomplish that. It's just a matter of figuring out your why so that you can get your fuel on how to get there. The great thing about seeing this little guy every day is I'm really glad that we get an opportunity to give him a great home, and he's doing great. He's calming down. Things are getting better. You know, basically we took in a feral dog after all of that was done, but he's learning and doing great. But every time I see him, I'm inspired because I'm like, this little guy survived out there. And we got him, which was also a miracle. I mean, the lady that caught him, it was unbelievable that what she had to go through in order to finally catch him. And we got him, and we got him home. Anything is possible. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. It's great to see you. Robert, thanks for being on. Mr. Lampy, as always, you're here. Jacqueline, so good to see you all. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.